Hello everyone, Arceus East Clover here. With the classes out of the way, it is time to focus on the dungeons. Dungeons are the second step on your journey to prove yourself capable of achieving a future for raiding. But which ones really stick out as the best ones in my opinion? Well, I cannot point out the best ones, so instead I will point out my top 10 favorite ones. The only rule is that I must have played the dungeon from start to finish, so pretty much almost all the dungeons from Warlords of Draenor will not be on the list. And also, it's my opinion that speaks in the end. If you dislike it, then make your own list. With that said, let me present my top 10. Number 10, Alderman. This dungeon have been one of my favorites since Cataclysm, and during the years it have not even lost a single ounce of its charm. Set in the undergrounds of the Badlands, this Titan archive hides one of the main components towards a long, unofficial quest line to really get the information where the dwarves are coming from. And to be honest, each boss is kind of special in its own way, but for the Horde, the boss or bosses, known as the Lost Vikings, is a wonderful throwback to pre-Blizzard game The Lost Vikings, which was one of the games that I grew up with. Number 9, the Calling of Stratholme. This dungeon is one of those special cases for those who really were into Warcraft 3, because this dungeon makes you experience the Calling of Stratholme when Arthas decided that the entire city must be purged. And it only spices it up a bit that the Infinite Dragonflight tries to stop you from fixing up history. But in the end, of course, there's nothing bad really with it, since if you go heroic you have a chance to get a guaranteed mount. But then again, you might want to choose your friends carefully for that. Number 8, Grim Battle. Yeah, dungeon sounds a bit like Grim Battle, and really, it is a Grim Battle. Inside of this dungeon you have to go through the entire historical monument from the Second War, where the orcs forced Alexstrasza the Lifebinder to birth a lot of dragons for them to use as mounts. But you get a very nice payback, as you have to cleanse the entire city from all of the nasty little Twilight filth that has invaded. But in the end, this is totally one of the places I go back to even to this day, just to enjoy a historical moment. Number 7, Temple of the Jade Serpent. This dungeon is actually my favorite from Mists of Pandaria, and that really shows, because you have to fight through an entire ancient style temple to stop the Jade Serpent Julon from being corrupted by the Shah. But it also holds one of my favorite memories. The first time that I actually kicked the Shah out, and the entire encounter was just people spamming that everyone are stupid, they need to do this, they need to do that. And seriously, it was a good time laughing, so I salute you, Shah of Doubt. Number 6, Gnomeburgon. Yes, I actually like Gnomeburgon, the capital city of the gnomes. And the dungeon is actually set in it, in the corrupted, polluted, whatever the word you want to pick, city of the gnomes, which is also connected to the main starting area of the gnomes now. And really, the bosses are quite creative, except for the last one, who is annoying as heck. And gives me even more good reason to hate gnomes. Hey, who knows, maybe they have a vibrating setting. We just haven't discovered it yet. Might make them even more useful than they are now, at least. Number 5. The Stockade. Yes, I actually like the Stockade. This dungeon, oh well, I couldn't say it's a dungeon, but it is a dungeon. It's set in a prison compartment in the middle of Stormwind. And you have to fight and take down a nobleman turned crazy, a big fire elemental, and everyone's favorite bugger, the Gnoll King himself. What the heck was his name again? Oh, right, Hogger. Then again, as he said, stolen from Kelphas even, but the forest was just a setback. Number 4, Magis's Terrace. This dungeon is set in the Isle of Quel'Thanas, and is the location where you fight Kelphas Sunstrider a second time. This time he is weaker, but like the rest of the bosses in this dungeon, he's addicted to mana. And as I said in an earlier video of mine, which is no longer on this channel, mana is the World of Warcraft equivalent to drugs, which makes sense since the Blood Elves and the Night Elves share a common higher setting. Their leaders were called High Elves. Number 3, Hour of Twilight. This dungeon follows the same kind of cycle as the Ice-Crown Citadel dungeons, as it begins with End Time, then Well of Eternity, and finally sets you right into Hour of Twilight. This is the last stretch that you have to travel, since you now have to get back to the Wormrest Temple. But you have to fight through an Ascended Elemental and an Assassin. But then you have to fight one of my favorite NPCs from Stormwind. But then again, he didn't see any light, no darkness. He only saw power! That never gets old. Number 2, Skyreach. This is the only dungeon from Warlords of Draenor that I went from start to finish, and I enjoyed every single bit of it. Even though the bosses are quite simple and all of that, it's still very positive, because you're not running around indoors for this one. You actually run outdoors mostly. The only thing I don't like about it, and which makes it just the second place, is that you have to run through an entire tunnel filled with air that can blow you off. But if you have a priest, they can probably help you. Then again, only one dungeon is better than this one. Number 1, the Oculus. Yes, I can actually hear everyone yelling at me that this dungeon is an abomination. This dungeon is all that is wrong with everything. Which to you I say, screw you. This is my favorite dungeon by far. The riding segments are wonderful. The bosses are perfect. And to be honest, flying around in the dungeon itself, instead of just riding around and running around, makes this whole dungeon just perfect. And that does it for this list. But next up will be a list of my top 10 raids in World of Warcraft. So make sure to tell me what you think and leave a comment in the comment section below. Make a video response and thumbs up, because I want to hear your opinions. I am Archist East Clover, and remember, the moon may hide a beast in its shadow, but it might just be your salvation.